Hi, Shannon here from houseimprovements.com, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to use this product here for attaching Newel posts to a floor. So this is the bolt that's going to go in the floor, and it's made by Zipbolt. Now, we're not sponsored by them. They didn't give us any product or anything. It's just a product that I've found that works really well and secures the posts easily to the floor. Basically it's two pieces. So you're going to have the stud here that's going to go down into the floor structure. There's going to be this much of it sticking up out of the floor. And then this little, I don't know what you really call this little cam is going to slide into the hole in the post, which you'll see me do later. And then it's just got a drive gear here. So you can just stick a socket in and tighten it down, and the drive gears actually thread it down onto the pole and draw the post down tight to the floor. And you'll understand it more when we actually go to installing it, but we'll throw a link in the description of the video as well to the Zipbolt. Okay, so the situation we have here, obviously we've got a stairwell and there's going to be railing along two sides of it. Pretty common situation in a lot of houses. So before the flooring's done, we want to get the poles and everything in place, and today's video is just going to be about how to machine the poles for this bolt and attach it to the floor. Something that we need to show you is the structure that you're going into, which we can't see from here, so we're going to go downstairs in a minute and show you. But basically, around an opening like this, there should be, depending on the age of your house, there's going to be either two floor joists or a truss system around the floor for structure to be able to attach into. And that's what we're wanting to attach into, is down into some actual solid wood. You're not just attaching to the plywood floor here or anything like that. That'll never hold your Newel post for any amount of time. So we need to get down into the structure, and preferably we don't want to thread this down in between both those 2x6 or 2x10s or whatever the floor joists are, because that isn't going to hold as well either. Preferably we want to be right into one of the floor joists. So you need to lay out your post position according to that, and hopefully you've got access in your basement or crawl space or whatever under the house to have a look at what you've got for structure down there and where exactly you need to be. So maybe we'll go downstairs and have a look at that. Okay, so in this house we've got an unfinished basement, so it's easy to see the structure. So if you look up top here, we've got 2x10s, I mean, for the floor joists, and you can see right here there's actually two on each side of this. This is the staircase coming down. So we've got the drywall here that we kind of seen up top, the edge of it, and then you've got two 2x10s, which are each 1.5 inches wide on each side of that opening, and they run all the way down. So we're going to have a post. The first post we're looking at is right in this area, well, above here, and the other one is going to be, it's actually going to be a little bit past this wall, but still into these joists that are here. Those joists are going to run right down there for a ways. Yeah, they run about 2 feet past this wall. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the structure. So this is what you're looking for down below, is some good solid wood. You just don't want to drill it into plywood. That's going to be no good. So you want some good solid wood to be able to thread that zip bolt down into. Okay, so we've seen the structure below here, and right here you can see this is the drywall. We were looking at the back side. So we've got the drywall coming up, and then we've got our 2.5 inch framing structures right here. Okay, approximately there's going to be one there, running all the way along here. So you need to position your post in a spot, like I said, so you're not drilling right down between them, hopefully. So I've got myself, so I'm sitting about a 1/2 inch or 5/8 of an inch into this outside one, so that should be good. And I figured out my spacing of my posts and all that sort of stuff according to how the layout was going to be. So that's going to kind of depend on your layout of your stairwell and stuff. So there's no point in me talking numbers. So figure out your post positions. Go and mark, what I like to do is mark out the square. My posts, they call them 3.5. These ones are actually about 3 7/16 square. So I marked out my posts here. That's the solid full post, and there's another one here. I know there's a lot of marks, so hopefully it's not too confusing on camera. So this is the square here. So once you have your squares, the easiest way to find center is to just mark diagonal lines corner to corner. Where they intersect is the center of that square. So that's the position where I'm going to drill down. I want to pre-drill to insert that bolt. And I've actually done it already here. I've drilled the hole. So for this anchor, it calls for a 3/8 hole drilled down first, just so you're not putting so much pressure on the joist. You want to pre-drill it. And there's still wood there, good meat for these coarse threads to thread into. So the key thing here when you're drilling it is to start out right on the center point of that intersection like I showed you down there. And you want to drill as vertical in both planes. You know what I mean? Like straight down. You don't want to be drilling on any kind of an angle. So you want to drill straight down as deep as you can. Basically, when we put this in, we're going to thread this into the floor right until these coarse threads along the bottom disappear. So we need to pre-drill, in this case, about 5 inches down into the floor. Okay, so I've already done that. And like I said, in this case, it was a 3/8 drill bit. When I drilled this the first time, I was using a spade bit, and a couple inches down, I ran into nails or something, and I buggered that spade bit up right away. So luckily I had a twist bit, same size, and I finished the hole out. So just be prepared, you might want to have a couple bits on hand, because that beam down there is going to be all nailed together. So, okay, so to put this on, I'm just to make it easier, I'm going to just thread off this top cam. And we want to start it into the hole. Now, I had this bolt in and out once, so that's why it's going in kind of easy, but you're going to want to put a little bit of pressure down on it. And actually, I guess if you left this on, that would help you. Push down on the bolt while you get it started by twisting it with, use a big crescent wrench. If you use a short little wrench, you're going to have a little trouble because it takes a fair bit of torque to get this down in there. So I'm just going to move this back so I don't knock it over. And I'm going to thread this bolt right down into the floor. So there's a spot on here on the shank that's flattened out to fit a wrench. And I'll just get it going here. If it's really tight, you could put some a little bit of wax or crayon on the threads, and it will help it thread down easier. Like I said, I had this one in there once, so it's actually going in easier than it normally would. So you can see the threads disappearing down there at the floor. And I just want to get it down to where they just kind of disappear right at the floor level. Somewhere right about there. Now if you look at that stud, it looks like I'm on a little bit of an angle going that way. So I can just take a hammer, or I might even be able to bend it. No, I'll need a hammer. I'll just, don't tap on the threads here, tap down here. Just straighten it up a little bit. The hole in the bottom side of the post is going to be a little bit oversized, so you have a little bit of play anyways. This isn't too bad, but I'll probably just tap that over with a hammer just to straighten it out just a bit. Okay, so that's that part. We're going to take the post over where it's easier to show you and work, and I'm going to show you how to drill the holes into the post, because we need a couple holes in here. We need one up through the middle of the bottom of the post, so it'll slide down over that stud, but then we need access in the side of the post to slip this in and get it started on top of the stud, and then there's a wood plug that'll go in there and cap that off. Okay, so we'll take this over to the counter there and work on it. Okay, so we just came over here where it's a little easier to work, and I've got one post already drilled. So you can see this is the hole that this this cam would go into. So we would set the pole down on the stud, slip this cam in, get it started on the threaded portion, and be able to tighten it up. So we need to drill an 1.5 inch hole in there that's about, in this case for me it's going to be 2.5 inches deep, but depending on the size of your post that is going to change for you. And we need to also drill a 5/8 hole straight up, again as straight as we can, up through the middle of the post till it intersects with this bigger hole. So obviously that's the one that this stud is going to go into. Right, this is sticking up out of the floor. It's going to go in there. We're going to drop the cam in, get it all started. So hopefully. So same thing as I did on the floor there to find the center of this square. I just marked diagonally, corner to corner, and that's how I determined that. So I've got this one marked out. You can see, I think you can maybe see my pencil marks on here, and used a punch and marked the center. Then I measured up the distance I needed here. In my case, I'm using 5¼ inches. There's actually, so this product is a Zipbolt, and I did find some literature online right here that explains some of the measurements and sizes that you're going to need. So it's probably just as easy just to print off this page and or take a snapshot or a screenshot of this. So, okay, that'll explain some of your sizes and your distances and stuff. But in my case, I was coming up 5¼ inches in height, and I'm in the center of the pole here. Okay, this is I don't know if I showed this. This is the little cap that's going to go in the hole after. So once I'm all done, I put a bit of glue on this and just tap that into the hole. Okay, this depending on what you've bought, it may come with the bolt. In my case, it didn't. I bought it separately, but I've seen them packaged together as a set. So just depends. Okay, so I'm going to drill this big hole first, and I'm going to use a 1.5 inch Forstner bit. So this drills a nice clean round hole with a pretty flat bottom on it. Whatever you do, you definitely don't want to go too deep. You don't want this little point here or the entire hole to come right out the other side. Okay, so I want to go about 2¼ inches. So I'm going in to center plus a little bit extra, because when this cam's in there, it's in there like this, right? So I've got to go past center. So I figured out I need 2¼ inches, which is basically on my bit from here right to this shoulder deep. So okay, and these cut pretty reasonably well. So now I used the tape just to mark out on, and I center punched the intersecting spot. So I'm just going to peel that tape off. And there's a point on these bits, so you can get it right where you wanted it to start. And I'm going to drill that hole. And again, you want to drill as vertically straight down as you can, or straight in. So I'll just knock that excess wood chips out of there and give this a measure. And yeah, I'm right at 2¼ so we're good with that hole. Now that bottom hole, they recommend that that's a 5/8 hole. We used 3/8 into the floor, if you remember, because we want the threads of the bolt to secure into the wood around it, so it has to be smaller than the bolt. This hole, we want the bolt to slip right through, so it needs to be just a little bit bigger. So with 5/8, that actually gives you enough size for the bolt to go through, plus a little bit of wiggle room, so you have a little bit of adjustment on your post location, just in case you aren't completely centered. So again, I'm going to drill into the bottom of this as straight as I can. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It might be easier actually for me to put this post on the floor, drill downward. Okay. So I'm using a 5/8 spade bit. Just pull out a couple times just to get the excess dust out of the way. Okay, so I'm right through. Let's get that dust out of there. I'm a little bit off center once I got into that hole. So I'm just going to have a look and see, make sure this is going to go on, or I might have to deepen that big hole a little bit. Oops, I keep forgetting these are reverse threaded. Well, that should be good because that dropped down. Yeah, that should be good. So I'm still all right. So we've got that all machined. So we'll go over and put this one on. Okay, so we've got our post over here at the stud, and we've got our little cam. So we should be able to drop this down in there. Get things kind of lined up. Okay, I've got the cam started. I'm just positioning the pole, getting it square and onto my lines. You've seen I had this red line here, which is, in my case, the outside of my post. And I had the square marked on the floor that represented the position I wanted the post, and it looks like it's going to line up. So I just kind of hand tighten that to start with. But yeah, the nice thing about these is, you know, it's easy to do, to tighten this down. There's other systems out there where you've got a little nut you got to balance and get in there, and then you got to use a wrench to tighten it, and it's just not as convenient as this. Okay, so we got that on there, and that's good and solid, and we should be good. Now the only other thing that you would want to do as you progress along in this project is putting a level on here to make sure it's plumb. If it isn't, what you might have to do, I'm not at the point to worry about plumb, but when I am, what you might have to do is put little shims here or there. You could use thin washers as shims, or wooden shims underneath the base, just to shim it up as plumb as you need it. I'm not sure what it looks like from that angle. From this way it actually looks pretty good. I don't have my level on me, but like I said, I'm a long ways from in this project to worry about if it's exactly plumb, but you will need to. Okay, so hopefully that made it a little more clear as to the process of figuring out your Newel post positions and how to fasten them securely to the floor. This quick bolt product makes it pretty simple really once you get all the posts positioned and drilled. So we're going to have another couple videos on finishing this whole railing, so you can have a look for those. As long as they're out, we'll have a link actually in the description below once we actually release them, so just look in the description and see how we finish the rest of this railing. As always, I hope that you click the thumbs up while you're watching, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And besides that, we've also got other ways you can help support us to make more videos, and that is through Patreon or PayPal, and we've got links for all of that in the description, along with our Facebook link as well. Please follow us and please subscribe.